Hello, Teacher Victoria here with and from Lead from Home, where we are always verbing, we're learning, we're engaging, and we are growing. Here to share some tips for engaging the angry student. I have some 5 tips that have helped me out to re engage the angry or reluctant student, pulling them out from their sunken sullies so that we can have a great and fun filled class. Tip number one. Tip number one is acknowledge that they are not feeling great. And guess what, guys? It is okay. It is okay for people to be angry. It's okay for me to be angry, and it's okay for your student to be frustrated or upset for whatever reason it is. In the classroom, we have 25 minutes. It's not a whole lot of time to establish rapport, help them meet their objectives, and really just work with them through whatever it is that they're going through. We are not clinicians, we recognize that. And which brings me to number one. Really quick tip is just acknowledge that they're not feeling that great. We can do that by just saying one statement or phrase and pulling back and letting them have a few moments. Not 15 minutes. Maybe they need the full 15 or 25 minutes. But this is for the individual, the student that you can check in with and do all of these activities for. There are will always be exceptions. So I'm just showing and sharing what I have seen worked. Acknowledge. Let the student know you see them. Offer them that statement I mentioned. Say it's okay to feel angry. I feel angry sometimes too. That immediately lets them know that you are connected. You are validating their feeling and their experience without having to get personal. Some teachers will ask why. I will not. The student may volunteer that later, but I'm not there for that kind of session. In this session or classroom, I'm there to help educate and help them do that in a non clinical way. I can check in with them, which is number two. After we've gone through maybe a minute or two of the lesson, check in, make sure they're okay. I say, observe and assess. Are they engaged? Are they still distracted? Are they with their hand over here? They're listening. Acknowledge that they're listening. Say thank you for listening. I know you still don't feel that great. That's okay. They're participating. They're present. That's a celebration. I know that when I am so upset and angry and frustrated, I don't want anyone near me. So, this is something that we can praise and recognize. They're still learning. Ask them what is helping. If you see that they are smiling and starting to listen and get engaged, there's your opportunity, there's your window. Some key things to look for is eye contact, a smile, a smirk, or just, maybe they turn their body a little bit to face you. That's okay. If they're still off camera, continue to teach. Use your voice and lean in, use your engage the camera so that you're having a conversation with them that they know, even if you weren't there, somebody else is going to watch this and see your engagement or your attempts at engagement. Tip number 3, model. Model what behaviors you would like to see from them. Already from when I mentioned check in, which is tip number 2, to model, I have changed my speaking speed. I've changed my tone. I meet the student where they're at, whether it's angry or sad, and then I build up. If I want to have a little party in my head, that's okay. It has to be genuine. It has to be true to you and it has to be true to the moment. If that student is truly not there, that doesn't mean that you can't have a good time either. Just make sure that you're kind of balanced out a little bit. I'm an over the top type teacher, so I use my hands, I'm in there, I stand, I dance. That may not be appropriate for the angry student. But I will share something. I love story time. Where I work with VIPKid, and I absolutely love story time. I have a video called "The Little Red Hen," and it's all about teaching that lesson. And it's for this reason. For this reason that I'm about to share. I had a very the teacher's notes were saying that it was hard to engage this particular student. It was a boy. He was around 10 years old, and they just said that he wasn't connecting and just very low participation. I read that and I great, yay, okay, a little bit of preparation, but that doesn't mean that I can't share my enthusiasm, even if he's angry or upset or for. I have no idea why he doesn't want to participate or engage. I don't. How am I going to find out? Sure enough, when I turn on the camera, the student is kind of off camera like this, and I can see the chair and I can see him kind of tucked in the back. And sorry if I go off screen, but that's exactly what I saw, just a little top of his head, and he's back, and he makes sure that I see his angry face, and then he sits back down and he just he did. But it was the cutest little thing, and I still had my smile. "How are you? Nice to meet you. I can't wait to share this story. It is one of my favorite stories." And I just engaged. I said, "Oh, I see you're angry. I wonder what the little red hen is angry about. Do you know the story?" Really tried to draw the student in. I recognized that he was upset, allowed him that moment, but continued teaching. I didn't make him introduce himself. I just went with the name on there. If he felt up to it and he wanted to correct me, I would be corrected and I'd say thank you. By minute 3, 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and I will ask for permission to see if I could share this video because it's so cute. But by minute 3, he is telling me, "No, no, 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 I read. I read." I said, "Oh, yes, you read." And this was all because I acknowledged, I did a check-in, observed his behavior, and not only modeled the behavior, I invited him to participate when he was ready. And I showed him how we were going to participate. I wanted energy. I wanted bark, 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 bark. I wanted silly faces. He was a new to me student, so I was really just going on a limb with this, going out there and just really hoping that he would receive the information. By the end of the lesson, I was booked for not only the story time and other supplementary courses. I am now his um, full time. Does that make sense? I am his preferred teacher. So I see him quite often, and I am so excited at the growth that he has shown in just that short amount of time. And yes, our engagements are this way. He leads the lessons. These tips work. I do plan on sharing a more detailed coaching uh, tips on these exact tips. We might stretch it for a few more, but we'll walk through some of these steps to see how they are in action. So subscribe, because I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, your experiences are in the classroom. But yes, so that's my model step 3 or tip 3 of knowing that it actually works. Model, teach them what the experience could be like. Number 4, tip number 4, be authentic. Do what is natural to you. I mentioned before that I am a high energy kind of instructor, but that doesn't mean that I can't kind of slow it down a little bit. Um, do what feels natural to you in that moment. Celebrate the successes. I often say, "Thank you for being a great listener." There's praise. Recognizing that they may not have participated by answering all the questions or responding in full sentences, but they listened. They stayed present. I don't know how many students or how many stories I've heard of just students walking away. This is their kind of compromise, their unspoken compromise. Your efforts are validated in the fact that they stayed present, even when you didn't feel that great. So that's the other part is thank you for being a great listener and again, acknowledge that they weren't feeling that great. Good. Be authentic. Tip number 5. I'm anxious to hear what you've got to say about this. But the truth is, it's not me, it's you. I don't say that to be hurtful or anything. I say that to as a reminder to myself that you can we absolutely want to reconnect. We want to reconnect throughout. We want to try all of these things and more for engagement and to be present and to um, support the student however we can in those moments using these tips and whatever other tips, which I'm anxious to hear as well, that we can do. I mentioned reconnecting. The other part is let it go. We've got to bring Elsa in here for her song, but it's true. We should let it go. We shouldn't carry it with us. Do what feels right for you as far as shaking it off. But follow your agency's guidelines for reporting inappropriate behavior or areas of concern. Maybe you have other concerns because you've recognized that this is a repeat behavior problem. Maybe they were almost going to hurt themselves, or I had. Thankfully, I have not had that experience, but there are all sorts of exceptions, and I will put this in here: is always follow your agency's guidelines for reporting areas of concern. Um, there with VIPKid, we have in the moment support through the firemen, and we have post support with the learning partners. So there are always different ways to make sure that your message is heard. Recognize that you're the best. You really are. You're the rock star. Recognize that. That's the it's not me part because you really are the best. It's the student in their moment. It's okay, like I said, it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to just not want to do something, but know that you did your best. Know that you did what the agency guidelines say, and know that you are supported. There are communities of peers out there that have experienced the same thing, and I invite you to write down your success stories that maybe you didn't think that you were going to get through to the student, or you have that question, man, I thought that class went really bad. um, but now you have a new student, a recurring student that is looking for you. And maybe, just maybe, you were doing some of these tips without even realizing it. Um, that's how we make connections in the classroom. We only have 25 minutes to do it. So I say, great job. Really great job. Kudos to you. And I am so looking forward to hearing about your successes. Please share them. Subscribe above. I'd love to have an interactive discussion with you all about what's been working for you. And if you're interested in these tips, just the little bullet points that I have, you're welcome to them. Um, there's the email lfh.vipkidj for my VIPKid journey. So it's a little long, but bear with me. Click on the link in the description box and it'll follow you out, and you will definitely get this freebie, the tips I'm angry, and the one that follows, which is tips for I'm sad. Um, Subscribe to the button, and you can be one of the first to know when that video drops. Stay tuned. And I had a great time with you guys. See you soon. Goodbye.